high, and so they're still going to continue to congregate here where the water is nice and high in the park where they like it. The Everglades ecosystem was once huge, and over the years as Florida has developed, we have cut away not only at the natural wildlife habitat, but also at the water flow. About 70% of the historic River of Grass water flow has been cut off because of Florida's urban and agricultural development. So the downstream Everglades National Park ecosystem has really suffered with not only less water flow, but also impaired water quality. And so this designation is really the result of many decades of impacts for the Everglades, but it's also coming at a time where we're working very hard to improve the quality of the ecosystem and restore some of what's been lost. About 100 years ago, people sought to change the flow of the Everglades to dry up the land south of Lake Okeechobee to make room for development and for agriculture, and they were very good at removing the water. And so now the natural Everglades flow is largely cut off, and instead we send water from Lake Okeechobee east to the St. Lucie estuary and to the Atlantic Ocean, and west to the Caloosahatchee River and the Gulf of Mexico. So at the same time that these northern estuaries are suffering with inundated discharges, the Everglades National Park downstream is parched. Yeah, I'd say this might well be a mama coming to make sure that her babies aren't getting impacted by these. We need more water for the Everglades. And when I think about Everglades restoration, I think of where's the water coming from and where's the water going. So where the water is coming from is more storage. We need to be holding more water. We don't really have a water supply issue in Florida because it rains incessantly. We have a water storage issue because we need to capture it, clean it up, and send it south.
Visitor areas. Fish and stuff.
Sure.
That's not part of the park.
Right, no. This is a brand new, I don't know.
He's moving.
Eastern indigo?
Well, one of the main iconic species of the Everglades is the vast array of wading birds that we once had. And in particular, we used to have flamingos, roseate spoonbills, ibis, wood stork, and many of these species are still here, but in dwindling numbers compared to where they were historically. And we often look to the wading birds as an indicator of how we're doing with restoration. On the years that we get more flow to the Everglades, we see more wading bird nests, and on the years with less flow, we see far fewer birds. So we look to the diversity of birds to tell us about the health of the Everglades.
You got camera shy?
Talk to mom. So much of the water. Invasive species are a huge issue in the Everglades. Pythons are a tremendous problem, invasive plants too, and so it's very difficult to track down pythons. They're very stealthy, they survive well, and they'll eat almost anything. So the faster we can continue to restore the Everglades and invest in new technologies to track invasive species, the better. One time. So we have a plan to restore the Everglades. It's the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. It was a bipartisan legislation authorized back in 2000, and the program has been chronically underfunded. So the first thing that any of us could do to better support Everglades restoration is make sure that the projects are funded so we can flow more water south.